Pause, reflect, and act. Those are the only 3 words you need to teach the skill of self-management. Hi health friends, Janelle here as your guide for all things skills-based health. I am so excited to launch this new video series I'm calling Skills-Based Health 101, where we are going to dive into and explore everything that you need to know so that you can teach truly authentic and impactful skills-based health, really in a way that transforms students' lives and sets them up for a lifetime of joy, health, and happiness. So we're going to kick off this video series by looking at standard number 7 of Shape America's National Health Education Standards. Now you may be wondering, Janelle, why are you starting at number 7? Why not start at number 1? Which is a very fair assessment. But really, I think it's critical that we start at standard number 7 because, in my opinion, standard number 7, which is outlined as the following: demonstrate practices and behaviors to support the health and well-being of self and others, or as I like to call it, the skill of self-management. Now, full disclosure, I definitely didn't come up with that label. I've seen lots of teachers using it, and I think it makes so much sense because that's really what this skill is. And I'm actually kind of wonder why Shape chose not to use this language, as they just revamped the standards and published them in this past spring in 2021. So it's actually interesting to me that they didn't choose to use this language, because I think that I think the language of self-management is so it really just fits perfect. It's easy for students to understand. They can recall it. They can, visualize it. I think it's really important that we have really memorable, easy language that we use when we're teaching health so that students can actually recall it. But anyways, that's me kind of getting on a little tangent there. So anyways, we are going to start by looking at standard number 7. So as I said, standard number 7 is all about managing your well-being. And we know as health teachers that managing our well-being, caring for our health, is not this one-step process, right? There's all of these moving pieces that we need to be able to evaluate and check in with and make certain decisions about. And so that's why I think the skill of self-management, that standard number 7, I really think it envelops all of the other health skills that are outlined in the National Health Education Standards, which is why I think it's really powerful to teach this skill first and to start here with students as we are getting them invested in the health skills. So another way, to look at this a little bit more specifically, you could tell students, if you're going to start with self-management and then bring in those other skills, that really to be able to manage your well-being, you need to learn how to do things like analyze the influences in your life, right? You need to be able to make enriching decisions. You need to be able to encounter information, decipher which information is functional knowledge, and then apply that functional knowledge. You need to be able to access valid information and services and products and all of these other resources. You also need to be able to advocate for yourself and others, and you need to be able to set and work towards goals. And then, of course, you need to be able to communicate effectively with others in just a variety of situations. So you see that all of those other skills that are outlined in the National Health Education Standards play this critical role in being able to actually manage your well-being. So even though the skill of self-management envelops all of those other skills, and those skills serve as a pillar to actually uphold a student's ability to manage their own well-being, I do think that there are specific skill cues that you can teach your students, and there's also a tool that I recommend in using in connection with this skill of self-management as you're teaching it to students. So the skill cues that I want to share with you are just 3 simple words: pause, reflect, and act. So what we want to do here, the whole idea here is that we want students to learn how to move through the world with a little bit more intention, and just move through the world rather than just doing the thing that has the least resistance, or going with the flow and following what other people are doing, or just, kind of going to your default coping mechanism, whether or not it's enriching your life or not. Instead, what we want them to do is we want them to pause, to create space in their mind so that they can actually consider what's going on. They can think inward, they can act with intention. So we want them to just pause. And then we want them to reflect inward. Now, I think it's really, really powerful, this process of reflecting inward, because at its core, effective health education is all about students living out their own needs and wants so that they're experiencing these embodied, they're just living these embodied experiences. But that can only happen if students are really taught to look inward and assess their own well-being for themselves based on metrics that they have determined for themselves of what makes their life enriching. Then the last thing is to act intentionally. So we know students are going to make choices all the time, right? Every day we're making choices about our well-being, but we want them to hopefully be able to make choices that are intentional. And rather than just defaulting to, a coping mechanism that they use all the time, whether or not it is adding goodness to their life or not. So again, those three words are pause, reflect, and act. So the primary tool that I use with students in connection to this, this three-step cue or these skill cues of pause, reflect, and act is the BEST model. So the BEST model is a tool that I wholeheartedly believe has the power to transform all of our lives. Our students' lives, both for now and the future, and our own life. It's something that actually I designed in response to me needing to do a check-in with my own well-being and having a quick way to make decisions that are then going to enrich my well-being rather than me just kind of going with the flow, even if it's not adding a lot of, even if it's not enriching my life. So let's real quick look at the BEST model. I'm just going to do a quick dive on it, but I do have another video. I never know which side the video is going to be on, of diving deeper into this, which I highly, highly recommend because I think this tool is a total game changer. So essentially, if we're thinking of pause, reflect, and act, so we would pause, and then the reflect would be when we come and use the BEST model. That's going to be when we come and actually use the BEST model to reflect. So the BEST model, I would call it the BEST model for healthy living, and the top of the poster says, are you living your best life, or living your best life? I should have pulled it up to make sure that I'm saying that right, but you'll see, I'll put the graphic up. And so essentially the BEST model provides students with this really clear and concise framework for them to evaluate their personal well-being. And then you'll see after I show you how not only is it just a model that, hey, a teacher designed this, here, follow it. Rather, it is open-ended so that students can personalize it and make it their own. And that's where that embodiment piece comes in, because if they're able to make it their own, then they hopefully are more invested in it and will actually use it. So let me show you what the 4 quadrants are. So we have B, which is body. So it's all about your body. Are you taking care of your body? Do you understand its needs? E is environment or surrounding. So do you have access to clean, safe, and secure spaces to thrive in? So that's it's related to the greater environment, outside, outdoors, nature, but it's also just the spaces that we live within. We go to school, we work, all these spaces where we exist. Are they safe, clean, secure, right? Do I feel at home there? All of those things. Then S is self. So, do you know yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Do you respect yourself? Are you managing your well-being? All of those things. And then the last one is T, social ties. So I had to get a little creative to get a T in there. But it's really about, do you have strong communities? Do you feel a sense of belonging? Are you connected to people? Do you have a support system? All of those things. So with this tool, students can pause, right? Take a breath, take a breather. Then they can reflect and they can scan their well-being within each of these realms. So they're looking inward and they're identifying, hey, I can sense that something's not, great with my overall well-being right now, but what is it? Like what's going on? And then they can act intentionally. And as I mentioned, because they have taken the time to personalize this and to make it their own, this is so empowering, because what students are doing is they're increasing their ability to actually look inward and have an embodied experience, right? Because we know as health teachers, what's healthy and what makes one person happy, it varies from person to person. And when students get to make it their own, this becomes such a more authentic learning experience. And it also, when they create something, they feel more responsible for it and have an increased likelihood that they'll actually, feel this connection to the BEST model, and then hopefully be more willing to actually use it on a daily basis. Even if it's just a simple check-in, anything that's making them more aware of what's going on in terms of their well-being is going to increase their ability to actually manage their own health and wellness. So one other thing about this tool is that if you do that personalization, you have students do that activity, it really helps you meet all of your performance indicators that are listed on the National Health Education Standards. So, if we look at the standards, you see words like examine and analyze and demonstrate, all of these different things. As students are outlining this tool for the best model of healthy living and they are making it their own, they are meeting each of those standards as they are really, really thinking critically about, hey, what do I need to do in my life to manage my own health and well-being? Now, if the best model isn't quite what you're looking for to meet the standard, I also recommend checking out the mental health bucket. Now, I will link to it here or in the description, but the mental health bucket is truly a phenomenal tool. And it takes this quite abstract concept of mental health and it gives students a very clear and concise way to rate their mental health, to identify what's influencing their mental health, and to identify what coping mechanisms will help improve my mental health. And then in another tool you can look at is the interactive wellness wheel. So students in this, they rate themselves within each dimension of health, and then visually it will change, their will change, and they can see how different areas of their life are impacting their overall health and well-being. So really, any of these three tools are going to be a great way to teach students the skill of self-management and also help give them so much more awareness of, hey, this is my overall well-being, or this is a fundamental part of my well-being if you're talking about the mental health bucket. And then bringing in that, okay, so how do I use the other skills that they're learning in health class to be able to support their well-being? If you're interested in that interactive wellness wheel, it's actually accessible in my free lesson plan bundle. So click the link up here or in the description and you can sign up and get that free interactive wellness wheel. So just to recap, standard number 7 of the National Health Education Standards, it's all about learning how to manage your own well-being. And we want to teach students how to do that with the simple skill cues of pause, reflect, and act. So remember, we want students to be able to just pause and create space so that they can actually then reflect inward. And then we want them to act intentionally as a response to that reflection. So I wish you well as you begin this journey with students. This is a critical life skill that they will use for the rest of their life. So just a small reminder that you are truly changing students' lives, that you are impacting their well-being for the present moment, but also for the rest of their life. And that is just a truly incredible thing that you're doing as a health teacher. All right, so that's it for this video. If you want to connect about anything else, drop a comment or shoot me a message. And also let me know in the comments what skill you'd like me to look at next. So until next time, have a wonderful day. Take care, keep on doing life-changing work as a health educator, and I'll see you in the next video.